Let's watch a guide on how to fool an entire nation, nay, maybe the entire world, that you have been silenced and that is why you were sacked. We need to talk about Karl Stefanovic and all of his utter bullshit.
Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I have been deep diving on this for actually a few weeks now. Back on my other channel, I've done 2 videos on Karl Stefanovic. My first one was about him being a grifter and how no one's talking about him being a grifter. And then all of a sudden, he really has popped off. Like, I mean, in the last month, he has really popped off. He started this podcast and it's controversial to say the least. And if you don't know who Karl Stefanovic is, let us teach you. So Karl Stefanovic is a journalist, for all the people who were arguing with me on my channel. He is a journalist. He is a trained journalist. He went to university for it. He was a reporter, worked his way up through Channel 9, and ended up hosting our version of the Australian Today Show, which is our breakfast television show, 6 to 9. And he'd been fired once from that show. He was in the tabloids a lot because he divorced his wife.
I had forgotten of him being fired until recently when I was reading another news article about him. And it reminded me that he was fired because of the Ubergate.
Yes, Ubergate
which was
absolutely
so
helped.
funny.
Yeah, so he was in the tabloids a lot because he dumped his wife, and the narrative was that this woman who, like, she was a journalist as well, and she put her career on hold like a lot of women do specifically in relationships, but, you know, more and more so these days, men and women, put their career on hold while the other one goes and is the breadwinner. And she obviously backed his career. Then when he decided he was done with that, 5 months later, he had a new lady who he was photographed on a yacht with. Her name is Jasmine. He's now married to her. They have a child together.
I guess she's a lot younger than him and stuff, so it was a bit a scandalo.
Well, she's 10 years, maybe just over 10 years younger than him, and which in the grand scheme of things, at a guy going through a midlife crisis, 10 years is
not
pretty
too
good.
bad.
Not
actually.
too bad, you know. There was a lot of stuff at the time, like you mentioned, Ubergate with his brother Peter Stefanovic. Peter was on had the phone on loudspeaker with Karl on the other end of the line. Karl was bitching about Georgie Gardner. I think he also bitched about Richard Wilkins, who's the entertainment reporter, and a bunch of Nine execs during a 45-minute Uber ride. That, with all the tabloid stuff around his new girlfriend and his divorce and how he wasn't going to give the money up and all this stuff. Whether it's true or not, all of it was really clouding his reputation on something that's meant to be pretty brand safe. And I want all of us to remember the term brand safe, because TV has always tried to be extremely brand safe. Same with commercial radio, always really tried to be very brand safe, because otherwise you don't have the advertisers and you don't have the monies and the shareholders are very mad. So this all happens. He gets dumped from the Today Show. A couple of years later, he's back. When I say he gets dumped, his contract is not dumped. He still gets paid. So he's held to contract, because they want to keep him in the stable because he's part of the Channel 9 Boys Club at the time. And he does a couple of ad hoc interviews for 60 Minutes, and then he ends up getting reinstated. I think they pay him quite a hefty fee. We don't know exactly the figure, but it's between 1.8 and 2.8 to $3 million. Like, that's kind of where he's sitting now. Per year, yeah. So that's kind of where he's sitting now as the contract's been dumped. Now, we knew for quite some time, because we talked about it in one of our previous videos, and I'll link it here for you, that they were looking for replacements for Karl, because at the end of this year, his contract was going to be up, and there was no way that Channel 9 or any legacy, mainstream media was going to be able to pay that kind of figure anymore. We've seen it with Kyle and Jackie O, networks. They're a radio duo, previously were, and the network pounced on the chance to get rid of a giant, insane contract that was paying them.
That was really dumb. That whole contract was so dumb.
And when you think about it comparatively to what Karl was being paid for television, which they get up earlier, they go national. Yeah. There's a lot more money involved to what Kyle and Jackie O were doing. And then their deal was like insane, $10 million each per year. Anyway.
You know what I always found funny? Because you and I, we were owned by the same people who owned Karl and Jackie O.
Yeah,
so we
ARN.
were getting paid by the same people,
Yes.
ARN. And I always thought, like on payday, how funny it must be, where they're like, I don't really understand how it works, but if they're like putting in Karl Sandilands, yes, his monthly pay is $4 billion. And then they're like, oh, this Wilko and Courts show, they're down in Canberra. I think they're getting $20 this month. Good for them.
Yeah, well done to them.
Thought it was so funny to like think about the massive discrepancies between Kyle and Jackie O and the rest of the plebs in radio, just getting paid.
And we were getting paid good.
regular.
We were getting paid
We got
good
paid
for radio.
good compared to a lot of people.
So a lot of people down the run, it would have been laughable in comparison, which is so sad. But that's the state of the industry. So we knew that Channel 9 wasn't going to keep him. He obviously knew this. He'd been saying to people allegedly at dinner parties and stuff that he can't wait to get out of Channel 9. And we knew that something was smelling a little bit iffy when he started his own podcast, the Karl Stefanovic Show. And I can't throw stones. I had the Wilko Show, but I always love when...
Not by choice.
No. But it was told to me that that's what it was going to be called. And I love when people call the show after their own name. I understand that branding is important. I get that. Look, people will argue with me all the time. I know, and our show's just called Wilko Courts. I get it. But when they called it the Wilko Show, when it wasn't just me, BT Dubs, Courts was on it. She was originally there. And there was other people in the show. Matt was there. Renee was there. Sammy ended up being there. But it was just called the Wilko Show. I tacked on with Courts later on, and then once that made it onto a bus, that's what we had to call it.
That was such a throwback. I kind of don't know if I ever I was there first, and they still called it the Wilko Show.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
but you're
God!
a woman,
What?
and let's just
I'm
talk
a
about how
woman.
fantastic I am. You know what I mean? So who's not calling it the naming a show, the Karl Stefanovic Show, I guess for branding purposes makes sense, so everyone knows who you are, but still boring.
Well, it's just the Joe Rogan experience. Like he
It
could have done the
is.
Karl Stefanovic experience.
Well, he didn't want to go
really.
full, I called him in one of my videos Joe Bogan, and it's everywhere now. You can definitely
It's funny.
see that he's trying to walk this well-worn path of people who
Yeah.
have decided to go and interview certain personalities or leaders of the fringe, let's call them. So
Yes.
they might be right-wing, they might have conspiracy theories, they might have been mocked by the MSM, the mainstream media, for some of their beliefs, and he's decided that he's going to dive right into that. And this is where the problems come with his sacking, right? From Channel 9. Spoiler alert, he's gone. At the start, you sort of go, okay, so he's going a little bit like, let's get controversial people to make a bit of a mess, which is perfect because it's an attention economy. So that makes sense. So he gets Kyle Sandilands on and he gets Pauline Hanson and, she's divisive. What political figure isn't these days? Then he goes a little bit further and he gets Pete Evans on. And Pete Evans is, if you don't know, was a celebrity chef. Then he made a lot of claims during COVID that were dangerous. He also had a lamp that he was selling. This lamp could have a recipe on it that could cure COVID along with a bunch of other things. Just a red lamp. It was $15,000, by the way. The price ranged from $15,000 to like $23,000, depending on what you got out of it. And then he got fined by the TGA for that, but I don't think he got fined all that much. But people still believe him. And here's where I'll agree with Pete Evans. Let's be scandalous.
Oh.
I think if you eat a healthy diet, you'll be healthier. I know.
But is what Pete Evans is like selling these days a healthy diet? Like he started by selling a healthy diet
Yes.
and then he went like crazy with it, right?
He also had a recipe book, and it had a bone broth recipe in it for babies that could end up being toxic for babies.
He was saying don't give babies milk, give them bone broth.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, lot of research suggests no on that.
It starts to make this pattern, this very grifty pattern. And I call Karl a grifter because he is still working at the Today Show in the mainstream media and then going to his podcast and shitting on the mainstream media with his fringe guests.
Yes.
And the people who believe in these things, for lack of a better term, let's call them tinfoil hat crowd, which some people proudly call themselves that. And I'm not saying that as a slide, but I'm just saying that like people who believe in conspiracy theories and what we call awake. They're curious, as your mum would put it. They're very curious to this side. I find it very interesting that they open their arms to Karl Stefanovic, who has been the poster boy for mainstream media for over 20 years. They don't go, curious. I'm curious to think that you're still taking the big paychecks from Channel 9 and still hitting their status quo, which used to be your status quo, by the way. But you're also shitting on them and telling us that we shouldn't trust the mainstream media. That makes no sense to me.
I know. It makes me so furious because he gets paid so much money by Channel 9 or got paid so much money by Channel 9 and was given a lot of passes. Tell me that if it was Lisa Wilkinson who came on the Today Show drunk multiple times, that she wouldn't have lost her job. Like, he came on that show actual drunk more than 2 times, I think, 2 or 3 times after big, low gears and whatever. And he kept getting away with it. So, like, of course he's going to push the boundaries. He kept getting bigger pay. He got sacked because he was heard in an Uber bitching about his co-worker, Georgie Gardner. Where's Georgie now? She's the one who stepped away because they kept protecting Karl fucking Stefanovic and he keeps getting his $3 million a year. Meanwhile, like Lisa, Georgie, they all have to leave because they're going, I can't deal with this boy's bullshit anymore. It's clear that he's just a gross man who went through like a weird, very public midlife crisis. And then his wife gets painted like shit. Like the media made her look like a whiny bitch. Yeah. But it's like, sorry, she put her entire life on the line for 15 years to raise his children so he could get up and go to all the parties and get up in the morning and go to work and get his face done and then get, coffees handed to him and stuff. She's at home wiping shitty asses for 15 years. And then he gets a little tap on the shoulder from a young, pretty little thing and he goes off and just gets to do that. I just think then he goes and does this. And people can't put it together. They can't put it together that, this man was the face of mainstream media while he started the podcast that was against mainstream media. That is grifter with a capital G. Yeah. And him and people like Dave Hughes, who are now on this, political rampage as well, who's a comedian here. Dave Hughes is worth multiple millions of dollars and he's doing his little videos on his phone going, no one's thinking about the Australian people, la, la, la. What are you doing for the Australian people with your millions and millions of dollars as fucking well? Nothing. So Karl's the same. And then he does this stupid video where he has someone filming him on a park bench after he's been...
We'll get to it.
Let go. I can't with that. That's so dumb.
We're going to get to the park bench because it's very, very important that we all talk about it.
I've got thoughts.
Great. We might even watch it together. I'll grab it and we'll watch it together. You might be thinking, okay, so he has all these guests on. They're fringe-based. he's convinced the Fringe. Now, it was a few weeks ago that I did some stats on it, but it was over 80% of the guests were sort of fringe guests, sort of far right or fringy conspiracy theory guests. So he did have Albo on, and he did other people that were left leaning, but it's certainly far off balance. I think if it was around 60%, then you could go, well, at least it's trying for balance. But when it's 80% swung the other way. But again, it's his show. This is the thing. He can have whoever he wants on this show. He just can't do both.
Sure.
He can't have his
But also don't do the show, but don't claim to be against mainstream media when they're the ones funding you to be able to do the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have millions of dollars to set up your show and find time for your show and hire people to produce it for you and hire people to edit it for you because mainstream media are paying you.
Yes.
Like, you can't have both ways.
And he's got millions and millions of dollars, so he's fine. So it starts to get a little bit rocky for him because this is where my whole thesis on Karl is that he planned this. He wanted to create as much media storm as he could, like Kyle Sandilands did after the whole sacking, because if you keep that stuff in the press, it puts you in a better stead when you have to go up against a network when they're trying to get rid of you and you've got to go, hey, pay me some cash. And so there's no way that he thought that all these little things were going to play out in his favor. Like, what did he think was going to happen when he decided to be on Team Ben Roberts-Smith? When, if you don't know, Ben Roberts-Smith has been charged with, I think it's 5 counts of the war crime murder, and that's still in litigation. But the interesting thing is that Channel 9 was really pushing the Ben Roberts-Smith is fucked angle with the 60 Minutes coverage. And then also Channel 7, their biggest rival, the board chair, Kerry Stokes, who, used to own the whole thing, he is funding Ben Roberts-Smith's court appeals. So it gets messy. So obviously
the media places, they're all picking sides.
They're all picking sides.
Karl is working for the team that's picked to be against Ben Roberts-Smith.
Yeah, BRS. And and then he goes and essentially shits on Nine's side of it. He's also apologizing for Nine's involvement in the Get Vaccinated campaign. So again, that's you that biting the hand that feeds you, and has fed you a lot. Like, you got fed. You got fed from Nine. Fed
so well on silver platters, gold platters.
You're shitting on it. And whatever you believe in the vaccination or whatever, you got to go that, like, if you're his employer and you've done all these things and you still have him employed and then he keeps shitting on you, you're going to take that on board and
you're going to take action.
Yeah.
You and I were on radio when all the COVID bullshit was happening.
Yes.
And so, of course, we subscribed to the get vaccinated, go out, get vaccinated. We did that while we were, on air. When we now, every single person we're 6 years removed from it now, and we've all kind of learned a lot. Yeah. You and I are now not employed by anyone, so we can come out and say, that was a bit weird that we said that. It feels a bit weird that we said that now. Like, we don't know, like we didn't know what to do or
but
what
also,
to say.
It feels weird that we did that, and I'm of the belief that none of us knew. Like, no one knew.
None of us knew.
And I don't think it should have been mandated.
No. And we're not getting paid.
Anyway, so he does these things, and then he gets a guy called Tommy Robinson on. It's not even his real name. But let's just call him Tommy Robinson for the sake of it. And Karl would have known that having someone on like Tommy Robinson was going to put the eyes of the MFW, which are the mad fucking witches, straight onto Channel 9. Because again, he's still on air with Channel 9 and then he's off doing his side project. And I admit that Channel 9 have given him permission to do this side project, but he is still bound by the contract that he signed. Just because you and I may have been given permission by our networks at the time to go and do other things, I started a whole other channel. And during that time, a lot of the things that I was being said were being checked by that network's lawyers to make sure that I wasn't breaching my contract that I had signed. You sign a contract. You sign a contract with a publicly listed company. that answers to shareholders and advertisers. So Karl knew exactly what he's fucking doing when he got Tommy Robinson on, and he knew that the MFW were going to come from him. I'll tell you what the MFW, if you don't know who they are, in a second, but this Tommy guy is the co-founder of the English Defence League. It was a far-right Islamophobic organisation. It's now defunct as far as I can tell. He was also in the British National Party between 04 and 05. They were historically fascist, anti-Semitic, a white nationalist political organisation. He also, more than just those things in his past, more recently, he likes to say a lot of shit on social media, particularly on Twitter/X. And those things that he says and the things that he does and goes and purports without any facts directly linked to riots in the UK, some of the biggest riots that they've had over the past decade. Like there was a story about a kid who there was a video of, and he said that kid attacks girls and boys in the school, which he had no facts or basis on, but he put this on social media, and then that kid got bullied more.
When I saw him post that he was going to have that guy on, I just... Again, it was just like the final nail in the coffin. I was like, oh, you know exactly what you're doing. You know that that's not okay. Yes. It'd be the same as like interviewing Thomas Sowell in Australia. Like, but also, you know what? I wouldn't be freaking surprised if he does now, now that he's free from the shackles of mainstream media.
So, Karl, here's what I'll say about that. You can interview whoever you want. 60 Minutes do it. All big news organizations do it. But if you want to be a journalist and still have that whole guise of you being a journalist, you need to push back on something. I watched that whole interview. Sadly, I watched it twice before I made this other video on my other channel. And he doesn't push back on anything. He puts this guy up on a platform. He lets him speak and doesn't bring up any of his past. Nothing. And it's... crazy to me that he thinks that he can do that and then also go back to his cushy Today job. That's just not...
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So he obviously did it deliberately. He was begging to be fired, in my opinion, just to back us legally. Now, we don't know what happens, but this episode with Tommy gets taken down over some hours later. So it's put up some hours later overnight. It is taken down. People are outraged. It gets re-uploaded on Tommy's.
I reckon it was fully taken
It was absolutely
down by
taken. No one else was taking it down. Google, who owns YouTube, they have said we didn't touch it. Plus, it wasn't taken down off his other channels took it down too. So if you had something that was taken down automatically by Apple took it down and Spotify took it down and YouTube took it down all at once, no. That's Karl did it.
And that's the thing. This is the thing. These people who are followers, these sheep who claim to not be sheep to the mainstream media, but they're sheep to other people. So they're like sheep to Tommy Robinson or Karl or whatever. There's one headline that goes, Karl Stefanovic's video removed from YouTube. Now, people are going to read into that and go, YouTube took that video down. No, it says Karl Stefanovic's video has been taken down from YouTube. Not that YouTube removed it. Karl removed it. And then Karl didn't put it back up after he was let go from Channel 9 because he didn't need it up there.
No, because
unless
it's all
it's
planned.
gone back up now. I don't know.
But also, no, as far as I could tell, it's not back up. So... it was put up on Tommy Robinson's channel and also on Pauline Hanson's. By the way, Karl would have had to have sent them that footage. Where do we think you just thought that they downloaded it just in case? So they put it back up with the headline "cancelled" as to insinuate that Karl's been cancelled. Again, cancel culture is bullshit. Karl hasn't been cancelled. He still has all of his sponsors. No. He still has a bunch of viewership. Tell me where he's been cancelled in this narrative. Even if his network Channel 9 said to him, mate, what you're doing now is breaching what's in the contract that you've got with us. If they did that, they're in their right to do that because they pay him a fuckload of money and he's been happy to take it for all these years and sign those contracts. Yep. So it's insane bullshit to me of him being a victim.
You sign a contract no matter what job you get, right? So if you started working at Woolworths, you sign a contract that says, I don't know what it says because I haven't worked there, but you'd sign a contract that says, I promise not to steal and I promise not to take money from the till and I promise not to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like Karl's just done the same thing but in his version of the contract. Like he stole or took money from the till or whatever, but in Today Show terms. So they would have had, you cannot put the station into disrepute. And that he did. He did by putting that Tommy Robinson thing up. We had to sign things like that all the time in radio.
And we did sign things like that all the time. And every time we made a move, whether it was we were hosting something outside of work or if we were doing a video on our socials, you would always go, okay, well, this is my opinion. Does it affect what I do at work? Because that's my main job. That's my bread and butter. And I want to make sure that I protect the show that I work for and the network that I work for because it's just, and I know that people will be hearing me say that and they'll be like, this is all the woke bullshit. You just can't say what you want. And it's just, no, I made that choice, just like Karl did, just like you did. I made that choice to be at that network. I signed a contract.
These contracts, they're not saying you're not allowed to be opinionated or whatever.
No.
But if you really, really think about a journalist, if you are a trained journalist, when you go through university, may have changed now, but from my, what I remember of the courses that I did that happened to cross over with journalism, you are to remain apolitical. You're meant to be on the fence, essentially, when you deliver news. You are not meant to get on air and be like, Pauline Hanson did this today and this is why I friggin' love her. You're just meant to give the facts. It's just meant to be factual. Like, you're allowed to have an opinion if you're hired for your opinion, like Kyle and Jackie O.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're hired as a journalist, you're meant to be apolitical. You are meant to not give your opinion for a very good reason because you're meant to just give the facts.
So Karl strikes up a deal with their lawyers do. I doubt Karl had anything to do with it. The lawyers chat and they strike up a deal. We don't know what's in that deal. We don't know if there's a little balloon payment at the end. We have no idea. I can't imagine given 9 share price, the payment would be that much. Year on year, like the last 12 months, 9 Entertainment Corporation is down 44%, over 44%. So I can't imagine that they're going, hey, let's give you a huge parachute. But he knew that this was coming. That's why he's really amped up everything. Then he puts up this video, and we'll just watch it bit by bit because there's really a lot for us to take in here.
Hey guys, some week
God,
up.
it's just...
So I'm free.
Oh.
Truly independent.
Oh, fuck off.
Pause. Okay.
So I'm free. You're a rich white man with a microphone. You were always friggin' free.
Yeah.
You were doing what you wanted to do anyway. Shut up. You did this on purpose.
So it also makes it feel weird because, like, does that mean that all of the people that he proclaims to love back at the Today Show, are they not free?
Yeah.
Like, what? The
Yeah,
thing is,
they're shackled.
you signed a contract that, by the way, apart from you going to do anything that competes directly with the show that you're on, you could have just left. You'd built this podcast. You could have left anytime you wanted, but you wanted to leave as messy as you could and as loud as you could to make as much noise so you could get more attention, which equals more viewers, which equals more money.
I didn't get the chance to thank my free-to-air audience for 21 great years. So thank you for riding the ups and downs. You have my thanks and you have all of my love. To my colleagues, I'll ring you privately. But Says, look after everyone for me. I know they'll miss me desperately, especially Halos and Isaac and Abby and Timmy.
Wanker. Sorry, what a wanker. Says, look after everyone for me. What, were you looking after everyone, were you, Carlos? Do you think that you were so big at that station, your ego made you think that you're so important that someone has to take care of everyone now that you're gone? They're grown-ups. Get over yourself.
Do you think, because he makes the mention that he's going to text everybody, do you think he's going to text like the camera people, the people who are running the auto cue? No, he's not contacting anyone in the control room. Like, he's not. Just no.
Didn't even learn their names over the 21 years, I don't reckon.
It wasn't easy this last couple of days.
wiping my tears with $100 bills.
I've really seen some like shitty performances on Australian TV over the years, but this is Logie Award winning. Like, it's incredible that he's like, it's been tough. You orchestrated the whole fucking thing. I refuse to believe you didn't know exactly. You are not dumb, Karl. You knew exactly what you were doing.
You've been in the industry. You've been in the industry for 21 years. You know exactly.
Longer. He's been in the industry for over 26 years. He's just been on the Today Show for 21.
Yeah, like you know exactly what you're doing. Even his brother's in the industry over on Sky News. Like, the two of them knew they would have been planning things behind people's backs. For goodness sake. How can people not say this?
Public deserve to hear perspectives. This country was built by, hard-working Aussies from all around the world, and they were bound by the same values.
Bullshit. Like,
yes, but no, okay, no. I agree with him there because, yes, you need to hear perspectives.
No, I agree with the perspectives. Like, it's fine to have different perspectives. That is great. I don't want to live in a silo. I said on my other video, I was like, I would love to live in a world where everything I thought was correct. If every thought I had was true and correct and I lived in this silo that kept repeating it to me, that would be fucking wonderful. But I don't want to do that because, as my friend Courts across from me tells me all the time, I'm wrong. I'm wrong about so many things, and that's okay. That's fine. I get to be wrong about so many things. What I disagree with him is him saying we're all bound by the same values. That's not true. Like, Courts and I had very similar upbringings in a lot of ways, right? We're both white kids. We're fine. We're very privileged in a lot of ways, but we would have different. We're fine. Maybe not mentally now, but generally fine. 90s mums did a bit of a number on us in some way. And dads, let's not leave out the dads, Jesus. But all values in every family aren't going to align. Doesn't matter if you're all Anglo-white fucking kids or if you're Japanese, fucking black. Like, it just doesn't matter. It's insane to go, we were all bound by the same values.
That is the most privileged way of speaking about a value system because in his mind, and it's Karl's world and we're all just living in it, in his mind, everyone has the same values as me. And it's like, well, no, because then we wouldn't have like murderers or rapists or like abusers. Like, those people don't have values that align in this way, and that is why we have stories that you report on.
Yeah, so exactly. And also, like,
the value system thing doesn't really line up there.
No, and value system, there are people who they value things that, like, people are very deep into religion and faith and things like that. And that wasn't huge in our household, but it is in others. But I can sit here and go, I appreciate what everyone believes in as long as it doesn't harm another person.
Freedom of speech here and around the world is what this show is about.
Your freedom of speech was never squashed. Because this is a huge talking point with all the people who like to, co-grift off these things, and they want to be outraged by it, he just had an opinion and he had a guest on who had opinions and he lost his job because of it. No, he had a contract with a publicly listed company and he breached. So, and then the lawyers discussed it and they left, and just to make it as clean as they possibly could. Like, his speech was never silenced. If he ever wanted to say anything, he could have and had done.
It's not like the videos were taken down.
No, he took them down.
Like, he was doing these anyway.
It's just insane.
Wait, we're getting to the best video, best part of the video, though.
Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you do.
You 100% do. You've got your hundreds of thousands of followers online. You've got your millions of dollars in the bank. You're going to do your podcast. You're going to have whoever the fuck you want on, which is great. And that does give people perspective. And you get to do lots of little different interviews with people. And you're not silenced by mainstream media anymore. Of course you know what you're going to do. By the way, you've also got a couple of young kids, because I'm pretty sure he had kids with Jasmine not that long ago.
Yep.
You're a busy man. So of course you know what you're going to do. You got exactly what you wanted. You're going to podcast. You're going to put out 5 episodes a week, which is apparently what the new structure is. Shut up. Don't know what I'm going to do. Of course you know what you're going to do. This was all orchestrated.
Here it comes.
This oh
fuck
God.
me.
And no shoes. Like, put your dogs away.
No, he's Australian.
God.
Remember, he used to walk to school barefoot. Isn't that what he said in that weird fucking
snow.
Australiana video he put up? So if you still, like, maybe you're like a huge Karl stan and maybe you're still listening to this. I would be shocked. But maybe you're still thinking, okay, these people have made their points. I don't agree with any of them. I believe that Karl is now free and he was silenced his whole time on mainstream media. After he started his podcast, in fact, many months after, he decides to sign another contract with another company that is also fucking peak mainstream media. They're called ARN. He signed up to do a show with Eddie McGuire.
Oh, yeah.
Once a week called The Long Weekend, and he didn't even show up when all of this is going down. If he really cared about any of his jobs, this is why I think ARN should also give him the boot, because one, he's not brand safe anymore. And remind me, I've got to get to these mad fucking witches. But also, you signed a contract with ARN to come and do this show. And your second week, maybe third week, let's say in the first couple of weeks, you don't show up for the show. Okay, so he did 2 episodes. And then come the third episode, you don't show up on the week where you've claimed all of your friends and all your fans and everything have decided that you're silenced. You've got the biggest stick that you could possibly have. You've got a national network where you could get on, you could go, guys, you've heard everything and I want to talk to you directly. And you didn't fucking do it. It would have been great for ratings. Yeah. It would have been great for that contract that you said, oh, me and Eddie are going to do this show. And then week 3, you ditch fucking Eddie and you put your message out on your own channel. And that's fine.
Is he fully done with that now? Like,
as far as I know, it's not fully done.
Did they take him off from ARN?
I don't think so.
Karl Stefanovic departs 9. Karl stands aside from this week's edition of ARN Long Weekend. Okay, so they're not totally done.
I think it's going to be more of a conversation.
Oh, God. That is so funny. Shitting on the mainstream media to try and get out of Channel 9 while simultaneously signing with mainstream media. How are people not seeing this? Like, oh, God. So it's hilarious.
My thesis is you don't get to shit on the mainstream media while being the poster boy for the mainstream media. Like, this is the biggest crux of it. You can go on your podcast, like many podcasts before you. You're not new to it, Karl. You can talk to whoever you want. That's fine. But you don't get to do it. And for the people who are so distrustful of the mainstream media and they think, listen, I worked in television and I worked in radio. And you won't believe me. Courts, you will because you were there. But no one told us what we had to say. There was no status quo for us for something that we had to talk about. There was nothing. There was no big meetings where they go, okay, guys, this is what's really happening with COVID, but we can't say anything about it. Not once. Not once in my entire career was I told not to have an opinion about somebody in government. No one told me what opinions I had to have. This is not. We didn't run any of the radio or television I worked with. Never run like Fox Media in the States where they were like, we are definitely right-leaning, conservative. That's the voice that we want to have. Never once in Australian media. Now, I know that there's factions of Australian media very high up that are like, this is where we're going to lean politically. It works better for me and I'm a billionaire who owns the network. But it never happened to me. So when you lob all of this mainstream media together, you're stupid because there's so many people who used to work in it who had all different opinions, who used to work together and share their opinions every fucking day. So lumping all the mainstream media together is basically as dumb as me going all right-wingers are the same and believe the same thing. That's just not true. Not all conspiracy theorists believe in every conspiracy. But here's what I do believe. Karl is full of shit and Karl has done an excellent job at grifting his way into a certain faction's hearts. And if you believe that performance that Courts and I just had a great time lolling at, then I feel like you will believe anything. Nothing about this man is genuine. Nothing.
No.
That performance
it's all structured.
Him to go, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm also bet that's not the first time they recorded that. So I just think it's insane. Now, quickly before we wrap up, the Mad Fucking Witches, they're an advocacy group. That's what they call themselves. They target media personalities, networks, or media entities that are outwardly racist or misogynistic. That's kind of their premise. That's where they started. They targeted Alan Jones. I think that was one of their first ones. They came for Kyle and Jackie O, especially when they tried to expand into Melbourne. And they definitely helped the demise of that show. Even though it blew up at the end, the Mad Fucking Witches didn't help. And they also cost ARN a lot of money. So it's going to be interesting. The same network that signed Karl and Eddie, even though it's on the gold side of their network, it's going to be interesting to see what they do now.
It's all
considering
the same
that,
money pit.
Yeah, the advertisers don't want to be tied into anyone who's not brand safe. And for people who sit there and go, oh, it's so woke that these advocacy groups they've always existed. These groups have always existed. The amount of times that people would call and complain about something that was on our radio show, on a television network, there was a gay kiss on a show and people were outraged by that. The difference is now they coordinate through social media.
Yeah.
And they can really target these advertisers and go, hey, just let you know, if you back Kyle and Jackie O or Karl Stefanovic, both, by the way, KSKS. I don't know if there's something in that, but they both got the initials KS. When I wrote it down last night, I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
There's something in that.
There's something in it. I don't know what's in it, but it's weird. The universe is speaking to us. And you can say, these advocacy groups are ruining the media and whatever, but also I think we just got to look at the actual issue, which is on mainstream media, it should be safe. It should be safe for people to watch. It should be safe from crazy political ideologies, whether they be far left or far right. And I think it's so easy for everyone to just go, the media is far left. That's their mandate now. That's what they do. And everything is far left.
But also, people say that about, ABC and Channel 9 and whatever being far left. But you do have your options for your further right ones, like Sky News.
A lot more conservative,
Yeah, so there are options. I think that when it comes to a free service like television and radio, and they're not as widely used anymore, and they're not, like young people aren't turning on the radio. But if it is a free service, it needs to be a safe place because kids can hear it and older people might still be listening to it and they maybe don't want to go down. Like they're probably over it. They're a bit over it. They're just like, oh, I don't really want to think about it anymore. So it's just like it's common sense, which is what the Mad Fucking Witches, I suppose, were always trying to do, like just to keep it safe for people to be able to listen. I
just also feel like people who are so critical of mainstream media, and we don't work in it anymore because it has its faults. It has so many faults. But what I will say is that at least 90% of the things, actually everything that I've worked on, so 100% of the people wanted to do a good and accurate job. Even the people that were shit at their job never wanted to go on and not be accurate with the facts and the information that we had. Yeah. So I wish that people could spend a day in a newsroom and go, oh, so wait, so there's not like a fax coming through. Oh, a fax. Oh, God, he just showed his age. There's not.
They're still waiting for Jock's Journal to come via
Jock's Journal.
The letterbox. It gets popped through the letterbox.
Yeah. I just feel like I wish that people would be in there and they like, and because I think about your mum specifically, and I don't want to keep calling out Janie Babes, but your mum believes she believes deeply in things that are corrupt and we're lying to people. And I find that confusing because her daughter, who she loves, and I hope trusts, worked in the media for a very long time. but still can't take your word for it that when news came through, like how many times in our show did we have to go, well, we can't run this until we know? Like we can't.
Yeah.
We
so many
can't
times. I remember when the One Direction boy died.
Oh, yeah.
Liam.
Yep.
Liam?
Yep. Liam Payne.
We saw that come through and we were like, no. Like we were like, no,
This has got to be bullshit.
Die. Like this has got to be bullshit. And we just like had to sit on that.
We had to sit on it. We had to get a bunch of sources that
through
we trusted.
the show.
Yep.
We had to go and get the show. But like we're not just saying shit.
But
like,
that's also
and if it does get right, if we get something wrong, you go on air and you say we got this wrong.
Yes.
And I've done that before. But like,
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. And that's
just,
the thing.
It's all just, I don't know. Like, I think this Karl Stefanovic thing is so blown out of proportion, but only by him.
Mm-hmm.
And
the people
he orchestrated it, in my opinion, because this is opinion based. But it's so hard because the people who need to question it won't question it.
No. If you want more on Karl, there's another video that's right in front of you right now. And there's plenty more here. So maybe subscribe and be a little wackadoo.